Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Magi, the Kingdom of Magic, episode 14. And, one thing I noticed in this episode, I heard the way they were doing the beginning of the episode where they kind of just review what happened in the last episode, kind of like a little recap. And I remembered it sounded and looked really familiar to me, and I couldn't remember why it did, but it came to me all of a sudden that it's from Space Brothers. Pretty much, it's the same style that they do there, and probably the same narrator too. So I don't know. I just felt like mentioning that. But yeah. Before I get into the episode, I want to talk about the opening, the new opening. Um, it's a good opening, but good isn't good enough because the part of the manga that this part of the anime is covering, the opening specifically, this part of the manga is so epic that it deserves better. like, like this is probably one of my favorite battles scenes of all. Like this ranks up there with like the War of the Best in One Piece. This is there there are awesome times coming, all right, in this series, all right? And the opening doesn't need to be good, it needs to be amazing, all right? The way they did this could have been much better in my opinion. They like wasted the course starts and you expect something epic to happen. It's like Ugo punching the ground, like this fake looking earth like shooting up. Like I was so disappointed. like, I, and they spoiled a lot too. Like if you're gonna spoil that much, at least make the opening amazing because of it. But no, it's like they spoiled Alibaba's full Jin equip. They spoiled all of the Ko guys, their full Jin equips. Koen. We already saw Kogyoku's and Hakue's, and Hakuryu's, but they spoiled Koen's, Koumei's, Koha's. Like they spoiled the fact that those guys are even there in the first place. um, all of them together, like fighting against something. Um, like they spoiled a decent amount in this opening. And it's bad enough they spoiled a bunch of stuff in the first episode, but like, like uh, if you're gonna spoil that much, you might as well make the opening amazing. But they didn't do that. Like, so it's stupid for them to spoil that much without actually making it amazing. But whatever, I'll just deal with it for now. Yeah. Getting into the episode itself, it focuses mainly on the whole citizenship class system that um, Magnostadt has. I forgot the name for a second. Focuses on the class system that Magnostadt has. Um, and really, the beginning of the episode kind of leads up to that because Titus is involved a lot in it. And in the beginning of the episode, we see him and Aladdin talking. They share their stories, pretty much learn each other's situations. And we actually learn about this proposed alliance between the Lame Empire and Syndria. So Sinbad's got big plans. See, we already know that, but we're starting to learn what some of them are. Or maybe that might not even be his plan. It might just be like a stepping stone to get. I mean, I'm sure it is. It's just a stepping stone to getting what he really wants. But yeah. Um, After this stuff, Titus has a complete change in personality. Like, like seriously. like in this series, Titus changes personalities more than freaking Madaka Box changes its genre. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's because of that I don't really care about Titus that much. Like the first episode he was in, cool. All right. There are a couple moments after that. Like there's a scene where he talks to Mokamet, which isn't much of a spoiler. So don't say it's. I mean, it technically is by the definition of spoiler. It is technically a spoiler, but not really. Not a big deal at all. There are a couple scenes where I care about him, but most of the time I don't because he's just being stupid, and I just don't care. like in the like there are specific scenes in this episode where he's kind of just spazzing out, like where he saw the cat and stuff like that. Like what? How did his personality change that much? Seriously. But speaking of that, the reason why he was even out there in the first place is because him and Sphintus are acting as the substitutes for Alibaba and Morgiana, pretty much. That's because that's all they are, substitutes. All right. Sphinx is so irrelevant in the story, it's not even funny. There are times where I forgot his freaking name in the manga because he doesn't do anything. The guy is so irrelevant. They're going the three of them are going around Magnostadt exploring different areas because they're second-class citizens now, which was mentioned in the last episode. Now that they're second years in the academy, they're second-class students. So they're exploring different areas, different class areas specifically. Third and fourth first. They've been the second before because that's where they are. That's what their class is. And they hear about the fifth class, because there are 5 classes in total, and they hear about the 5th class. They hear about how the classes are mainly. We learn about the concept of Goi. Alright, and Goi are pretty much, if you're not a magician, then you're a Goi. It's that simple. You're either a magician or a Goi. And most of these classes are kind of separated out using that distinction. The Goi are the lowest classes, 5th class, 4th class. A little bit of them are in the 3rd class as well if they're like in the army. So the Goi are at the bottom, the magicians are at the top, which goes into this kind of segregation that Sinbad and Aladdin are trying to look into and everything. Wasn't that why Yamaraya? I don't remember why Yamaraya left. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah, and it's during this time where they're exploring things, and Titus is spazzing out. I think I personally didn't care that much about this at all, but there are a couple lines there that you should be looking at, and it's a couple lines that you should remember for later on. Titus says that. He says, and I quote, "A baby, a mother, a cat, a shop, people talking, the smell of food. So this is how the people live." Alright, and then Aladdin answers that by saying, "So he can be moved by something that ordinary?" So that lets you know that stuff like that is something that Titus is not used to. And why it is he's not used to that, I'll leave up to your imagination, because I don't want to be the anime and spoil things. But yeah. After that, they decide to look into the 5th district because that's the only. They can't get into the 1st district, but well, I'll get to that later. But when they hear about the 5th district initially, they learn that it's a dumping ground for failures who can't pay their taxes, and they try to ask one of those professors, the blonde one, actually the blonde one who was with Mogamet last episode. They try to ask her how to get there, and ask her about the 5th district, and she gives them this automated response like she's a freaking computer or something, and she walks away right afterwards like a robot. It was like it was so artificial. It's like she was just waiting for them to show up, and she just gave off that response. But yeah, they don't get anything out of her, and that's it for that's it for the day, not for the night, for the day. Titus ends up using those tools he has to communicate with Scheherazade, and she kind of just gives him a kick in the butt, saying, "Listen, you're there to complete this mission, to complete the mission as soon as possible. Get back. This is what your duty is. This is what you exist for," which is something else you should listen in for, or it's something else you should remember. But yeah, Scheherazade gives him this little kick in the butt, so he decides to wake up Aladdin and Sphinx, and they decide to break into the 1st district in order to get information on how to get to the 5th district. And when they get there, there's a barrier, which shouldn't have been surprising. You would think that in a city of magicians they wouldn't let people go into areas they aren't allowed to go into. So I'm surprised that they didn't see something like that coming. But then again, this is hindsight on my part, so I can't exactly talk. But yeah. They run into a barrier. One of these, some random professor shows up, who is a 1st-class citizen, and Sphinx knocks him and the guards out with life magic. And I like the scene where they pretend to build him up to be this awesome guy, where like Titus is saying, "Oh my God, that's like telepathic magic," or something like that, and like that's one of the toughest classes of magic to use. He's like, Nope, it's just healing magic. They pretend to build him up to be this big thing. It turns out no, he's just some normal guy. So I found that funny. But they go in, they research the 5th district, the 5th level, and it turns out that the people in the 5th level are actually 2/3 of the entire population of Magnostadt, right? Which is a big deal. All right, this 5th district that they keep secret, that they hide away, that they don't let anyone get into and sneak into. 2/3 of their population is down there. So like this is something that is clearly not good. This is very suspicious. All right, so they sneak in with their disguises. They're disguised as Myers and the blonde chick and that one professor who was in charge of the initial test to see um, what level you get into. Kodor, what Kodor you get into. I forgot the word for a second. The guy with the beard, Lan couldn't succeed, do anything. He was really bad. Yeah, that guy. They transform into those three initially. They transformed into those when they're trying to get into the 1st district, but they're still transformed into them when they go into the 5th district. And they go in. It's a mess. It's the slums pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's the author freaking loves the slums, man. Like, I mean, it's the time, so I guess you can't help but have slums in the cities. But like, this is something that comes up time and time again. So, I mean, I'm not complaining or anything because it's usually done well. I'm just saying, it's like freaking Attack on Titan here, using the same things over and over. Oh no, let me not get into Attack on Titan. Yeah. So they go in, place a mess. Their disguises disappear, and their Magoi starts getting sucked away. All right, and they don't know why at first. And once they meet Marga, they start to learn things. Marga is this girl who's running low on Magoi. She doesn't have much left. She's going to die soon. And Titus saves her. And even when he saves her, this elderly guy, probably, I guess, not the leader or like the head of the guys down there, but well, I can't really say he's respected, but like he's this elderly guy comes up to him and explains that she's probably going to die in a year or two anyway. And well, he doesn't say it like that, but that's pretty much what he tells him. And you learn about how her mother died recently and how she's weak and how she's just a kid. She has dreams of going to the surface, becoming a scholar and learning how to read, becoming either a scholar or a doctor, something like that. And they decide that they're going to visit her every day and teach her how to read, but she says, I'm probably not going to live long enough to become a scholar or anything like that. So I would be satisfied if you guys just came down. You don't need to waste your time teaching me how to read. I would be satisfied with just telling me stories about the outside world, and so that way I can imagine what it's like and everything like that. I'm fine with that. And so that was cool. Aladdin made like a cat and some buildings out of sand using that Ugo spell. So that was cool. We learned that the 5th district is pretty much just a Magoi production facility. They take Magoi from all the guys down there in order to fuel the magic tools that are above ground that practically run the city, pretty much. And the guys down there, they're mostly satisfied, like, but for different reasons. The younger people down there are satisfied because they can get all the alcohol and all the sex they want, pretty much. And they don't need to work either. But the older guys are like, yeah, we're satisfied with the way things are because we're the incompetent ones that got us sent down here in the first place. It's our fault. We feel more sorry for our kids, for our grandchildren, because they're not down here because they're incompetent. They're down here because of us. So they don't really know what it's like to live any other way. So they really can't do anything but be satisfied because they don't know, like, they don't know any other way to live, so they're kind of just satisfied with the way things are, alright? And the older guys also say that it's better than the way things were with the Mustashim Empire and their regime, so hey, they're satisfied, so what can you do? Titus isn't, though. Titus isn't satisfied, so he wants to bring Marga back up to the surface. And the one guy who shows up a couple times, he tells him, no, you're not going to do that, because if someone tries to escape, we all end up dying. See that hole over there? Alright, that's the freaking Makbara. Alright? They throw us down there, and I'm like, you cats, alright? We can't freaking fly. We get thrown down there, it's all over for us. Okay? So, he says, you know, hey, you can't fly, but I can. I'll bring all of you up there if you want to go. Hey. And they're like, wait, what? And that's when the older guy says, you know, stop, you know, please don't. We're satisfied with the way things are, blah, blah, blah. All right. And then this is when the Magician's Patrol comes in. All right. They pretty much, their job is to do a head count on people down there, see if anyone's collapsed or dead or anything. And if they are, then just throw them in the Makbara. Right. And it's when they're about to leave to go to the next district in the 5th district that Marga collapses. Okay, so they throw her down there, and Titus and Aladdin go flying after her to catch her and save her, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, they've revealed themselves. They're gonna get in trouble. Might have to go to that ideology class or something like that. Who knows? All right. The point is that that's their secrets out about, you know, how they went to the 5th district and everything, and there will be some consequences of some sort. Right, and that's that. We saw Mohamed in the preview, so he has something to say about it as well. And yeah, overall, I will give this episode. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm kind of bringing it down a little bit because of those scenes with freaking Titus with cats and crap and babies. I really just did not give a crap. Alright, I did not give a crap about that, about Spintis sitting in that chair with the freaking cloak. I didn't care. I didn't care. That stuff brings the episode down. But we did get a lot of information about the citizenship class system thing and all that, so yeah, we actually went to the 5th district, you know, so yeah, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. But that's it for now, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.